Holes. What comes to mind when you hear that word? If you grew up on a farm, it may mean sweat and hard work. If you are a dog owner, it may mean a yard that looks more like a minefield. If you're a mama girls, maybe earrings. If you're a mama boys, jeans. A place where you once had grass, but now all that remains is the remnants of a blown-up stick of dynamite. Your walls? Yeah, I have experienced them all. But the holes that have shaped me as a mom are those ugly eyesores in my walls. As I look upon them, they remind me of life as a single mom of 2 young boys, life with a strong-willed child, life in the midst of grief, life of 2 boys transitioning into their teen years, and life as we know it today as a family of 4 once again. In the locker room of our house, yes, we have one, it has been once known to be called the basement, but the presence of teenage boys seems to make it smell and resemble a gym locker room. In our locker room, we have an abundant number of holes in our walls. At one point, we could have turned our walls into a serious beanbag game. You just wouldn't be able to retrieve the beanbags once the walls swallowed them up. But that may have helped to cushion all the blows. As I stare at the holes now, each one has great significance in my life as a mother and my journey through motherhood. Now, I did not have that same positive outlook at the time of the offenses, but I have actually come to appreciate and look somewhat fondly upon our holes. This leads me to hole number 1. I call this the head hole. Let me set the scene for you. 2 young boys doing what all boys do, wrestle to the death. Only this did not end in death. It did, however, end with one of my boys' heads driving through the drywall, meeting the cement wall behind it. My initial reaction was fear that I would be making a trip to the ER for a severe head wound. No, it was something far scarier. It did nothing to him. That's when I knew I was in trouble. For I had a son with a thick head, or a strong-willed child. A strong-willed child is a blessing and a curse all in the same sentence. He has tried me, pushed me, made me push him, made this mouth of mine speak like a sailor. But it has also brought me to my knees a lot. I haven't told him this, but I think he may be to blame for my ACL surgery last year. So much time on my knees praying for wisdom, patience, kindness, love, and guidance really weakened that knee. In my 16 and a half years of being blessed with a strong-willed child, I have learned to appreciate this quality in him most of the time. If he had not been a strong-willed child, he would have crumbled the day that he found his dad deceased. He would have crumbled in the days that followed as him and his brother learned to live life without him. He would have crumbled and took the easier road rather than the harder road for whatever reason God has paved for him. I thank God most days for his strong-willed nature. It has made me a better mom. And I am thankful they make cheap wine. Hole number 2. This one is called the foothole. Again, wrestling is involved, and I guess I asked for it. For the 100th time, please take your roughhousing downstairs, and that's what they did. This hole did not come to my attention until weeks later when I was cleaning. My rag slipped and went right through the wall, except it wasn't a wall. It was a piece of paper so carefully placed on the other side of the wall. You gotta give it to them, they problem solved. Now, yes, I was furious, but reflecting back, this hole to me speaks resilience. This hole occurred a month or 2 after their dad had died. Amidst their grief and my endless hours and days trying to comfort 2 young boys who missed their father more than anything in the world, they were still my wild and crazy boys they had always been. I was afraid that experiencing such a traumatic event would ruin them. I was scared that I didn't have what it took to help them in the days and the years to come. I was scared I would lose my little boys. I was scared it would change them, and it did change them. It forever changed them. This season in their lives has made them who they are today. Strong, brave, resilient, compassionate, caring, involved young men who have the attitude of, I can take on the world. What else can a mother dream for her children? This hole, the foothole, means that God is always there, getting us through the hardest times in life. Number 3, the butthole. Do you ever agree to something your kids are thinking it's a great idea later to find out that you are just plain stupid for not thinking it through? That's where this hole, the butthole, came from. 9 o'clock on a Friday night after a middle school dance, both boys asked to have a couple of friends over to stay the night. Lesson number 1, clarify a couple with an actual number. By 10 o'clock, this single mama had 8 7th and 8th grade boys in her locker room, aka the basement. I guess I figured they were loud enough I could tell you everything that was going on down in the locker room, so I figured, why subject myself to the stench and craziness by going down to check on them? Lesson number 2, that was just plain stupid. Always, let me repeat, always make random mom checks, as painful as it may be. It will pay dividends in your sanity. Fast forward to 9 o'clock the next morning, I'm making the rounds, dropping off friends. I get a suspicious phone call from the son still at home. Mom, there's like a bowling ball-sized hole in the wall, and I have no idea how it got there. That should have tipped me off. 6 hours later, with still no recollection of how the hole got in the wall, they concocted a story that involved a friend who had put down too much Mountain Dew. It put him over the edge. In his balancing act on the couch, he fell backwards and put his butt through the wall. I guess it was convincing because I bought it. The moral of this whole goes back to lesson number 2. Always make random mom checks, as painful as it may be. This whole has taught me as a mom to not be naive. Yes, my boys are good kids, but they are the boys that love going for the "what the hell were you thinking" moments from their mom. If you're curious about how the hole really got there, the truth came out last summer, 2 years later. One son was a shot put thrower, and for some reason he thought that my 5-pound medicine ball had an uncanny resemblance to a shot put. Let's just say he would have shattered school records if he could have thrown a medicine ball. Hole number 4, the fist hole. The fist hole is my favorite. It was a hole I got to witness. This hole goes deep into the wall, which is very symbolic in this story. I remarried 4 years after the boy's dad died. We have had our challenges, turning our family of 3 into a family of 4 again. There is no book that can tell a stepdad how to become the only father a boy will have. There is no book for the mother to tell you how to allow your new husband, the new stepdad, to help you with parenting. There is no book for the kids to tell them how exactly to let your new stepdad be part of your life. There just isn't. It's trial and error and lots of prayer. This 4th hole came about in a power struggle between a teenage boy and his new stepdad, neither seeing eye to eye on what they both felt to be their relationship and their role in this new relationship. From the teen's perspective, someone was trying to step in and tell him what to do, and in his eyes, take his dad's place. From the stepdad's perspective, he was trying to help mold and shape a teenage boy into a young man of character. This hole needed to happen. It needed to be made so our family of 4 could move forward with love pouring through the hole, but still having the support of the remaining wall around to build upon. Now, I am a mom that strongly believes in consequences for your actions. These holes have been attempted, and I do use that word loosely, to be patched by those guilty of making them. I do not see a future drywaller emerging from our house, ever. The holes are still visible, just covered with some mud and then some pictures. My husband and I have talked about having someone come in and professionally fix the holes after the boys are grown, and the chance of having new holes is slim. But the more I think about it, I'm not so sure I want that to happen. These holes have shaped my journey through motherhood and the family that we have become. These holes reflect determination, resilience, lessons learned, grief, new beginnings, and faith that God knows exactly what He is doing with our lives.